I'm going to be tackling a lot about scatter plots during this chapter. So the first lesson, we're just going to take a look at what a scatter plot is, and we're actually going to go straight into the second one, which is actually building it to let you see what it looks like and how it's made. But a scatter plot, it's nothing more than a bunch of dots on a graph. Okay, it's not hard to think what that looks like. In fact, I could sketch one for you real quick. Let's pull this down and get just a little bit more room. Let's just use the first quadrant of a graph here. So here's our y-axis, here's our x-axis, and it's just a bunch of dots that appear on there, and each one of those dots is called an ordered pair. Okay, and that ordered pair has an x value, like this one right here, has an x value here, and it's got a y value there, and together that ordered pair is written like this, like a 2, 1, or whatever the numbers may be. The x and y actually represents two sources of data, and we crunch them together and graph it onto one graph, and that lets us be able to see if there's actually a relationship between them. Okay, we'll talk about what those relationships look like in the next couple of lessons, but scatter plots are just dots on a graph. It uses two sets of data to do that. So your x-axis would be one set, your y-axis would be your second. And then the whole reason that we use scatter plots is just to see if there is a relationship between the x variable and the y variable. Now, the second lesson that we'd like to do is basically how to make a scatter plot. So we have two sources of data, and that's what we just mentioned. The first source we will call height, and the second source we will call points, and we're going to attach them to the different axes. So we have to go and make a graph. So we come down here, and we've already got this made for us. Our y is our point scored, and our x is the height, and that would be in inches. And so I'm going to write inches right here for that. Now, this red dot doesn't mean anything. It's just the dot that I have that I can just come over here and grab a dot and then be able to move it wherever it is. So let's graph the first one. The height is 62, and the points is 21. So I come down here to the height where 62 is. Let's see, this is going up by 8s. 0, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, and we want 62, so it'll be right before this line. And they said it was 21. So height 62, points 21. And now we go to 70. Let's move this down a little bit more so we can see it. 70, and what did they say the points was? 70 and 10 for the points. So 70 and 10 for the points, about right there. And we'll just go through and do the rest of these with stop video motion to speed this up. And there's the 6530. And the 7440 goes right here. 75.6 right here. Right here is 73.11. Maybe a little, yeah, maybe about right there since that's 12. This would be 73.11. 71.22 right here. As you can see, it's getting crowded, but if this is 80, and 77 would be right before it, and 14 would be almost to the 15 line. There's 66.17 right here. 72.18 is right here. And here is 63.26, the last ordered pair that we put on the graph. So there you have it. We've constructed this scatter plot. We had two sets of data. Our first set of data we put on the x-axis, and so you can see it plotted along the x-axis. Our second set of data was points scored, and so we put that on our y-axis. And together we were able to use ordered pairs to unite those two data together into one ordered pair of points that we can put on this graph, and now we can see if there is a relationship between the height of a person and the number of points that they score. And honestly, because I know what's coming, there's no real relation here between height and points scored. But that also kind of segues into our next lesson, and that would be dealing with the types of relationships that you could see.